Goes to our friend Peter Boyle from Oil City, Pennsylvania. This is a 1959 Oscar Coupe. Oscar was a company that was brought about by the Maserati brothers. The Maserati brothers left their own company, although the company continued. They founded Oscar and they went about designing automobiles. They were predominantly Fiat-based cars. This particular car was designed by Giovanni Michelotti for Oscar at the particular time. It was shown, I believe, I hope I don't get this wrong, at the Paris Auto Show. It first appeared in this form. It was a styling concept. If you look very carefully at the car, the roof line was later used on the Pagoda Mercedes-Benzes, the 230, 250, and 280 SL. There are some BMW in the rear flanks of the car, the 2800 and later 3.0 CS. So this was kind of a styling test bed at that particular period of time. Very, very unique car. Peter finished this car about a year ago, and that's Roger, his restorer, with him. Congratulations, guys. Great car. If you didn't get to take a look at that up close, please do so, because you'll never see another, because it is one of one. Another absolutely spectacular car here at the Las Vegas Concours d'Elegance. Third in class in the European sports cars, 1971 to 1989. I was very happy to see all of these Maseratis on the field today and fewer Ferraris. Sorry if I offended anybody, but it's really great to see all these Maseratis that don't often get their due. This is a Ghibli SS, a 4.9 liter SS. The coachwork on this particular car, these were done by Ghia of Turin, Italy. This is a V8 front engine rear drive car. Absolutely stunning styling. The later versions of these cars, they were, I should say, initially were built with a 4.7 liter engine. The later versions of the cars had 4.9 liter engines. They are much rarer in numbers and much more desirable because of the additional power and the rarity. And this is a 4.9 liter Ghibli. Just a wonderful car in great colors too. Thank you guys so much for bringing it. Congratulations on your award. Very cool car.
Yeah, sounds pretty
in
good.
the European sports car category, 71 to 89. Second in class goes to the 1989 Porsche 911 Turbo slant nose, owned by Gregory Pyatt of Modesto, California. Everybody knows what a 911 looks like.
Yeah.
Okay, Porsche tried to one-up the 911 by creating a car that was referred to internally as the 930, starting in 1974. This is a air-cooled flat six-cylinder engine that's mounted in the rear of the car, and Porsche decided to turbocharge this car. What they created in the meantime was a really squirrely handling car, because you had all this power at the rear end of the car pushing a fairly lightweight nose. By 1989 they had kind of tamed this down a bit. However, this is still a handful of a car to drive, because it's a lot of power coming from behind you, so the handling is a bit different. This particular car was called a slant nose. I believe there were 160 of these made. 60, I'm sorry, of these made with the slant nose option. So what they did was, of course, create this nose from an aerodynamic perspective to make it lower to the ground and cheat the wind much better. These are and the wheels on this car, these are called Fuchs wheels, named after the designer who designed them. This car is like the holy grail of Porsche turbos. Triple black, air-cooled Porsche, slant nose. It's got it all. Just a really wonderful car. Congratulations on your second place award. Best in class goes to Steve Rossi from San Luis Obispo, California, the owner of a 1975 Lamborghini Countach LP 400 Periscopo. Lamborghini fans will tell you this is the car that they want, because this is the purest version of the car. It doesn't have all the add-on flaps and wings and all that kind of crazy stuff. This is as the car was designed by Marcello Gandini, who was at Bertone at the particular time. He later went out to found his own company called Ital Design. These are known as origami shapes because they look like origami or folded paper. They have these wonderful scissors doors, which were a characteristic of the car. They are a wild, wild ride. There is a mid-mounted V12 engine just behind the driver's heads, and these things go like stink. You heard me say it's a periscopo. Obviously, they have the world's worst rear visibility. So they have a special mirror designed in the car that kind of looks up through a little glass portion in the roof, which you'll be able to see as the car turns, enabling you to see out of the back of the car through a very narrow slit via reflection in the mirror that's in the car. This is a great car to see in its purest form in this wonderful color combination. Congratulations on your Best in Class award. Class 13 muscle cars. These are generally cars 1964 to 1974. The reason we call them, we use that designation for a muscle car is because that's the beginning and the end of the first generation of the GTO from Pontiac. Started in 64 and ended in 64. This is a pony car rather than a straight muscle car. This was a secondary classification started by the Ford Mustang. The Mustang, of course, which came out in 64 and a half as a 65 model. This was Chevrolet's answer. 2.5 years late, albeit, but the Camaro came out in 1967. This is the Camaro in its purest form, which is what I think the real purists will tell you they like to see so much. Yep, this is Marina Blue, and the reason you see blue on so many mid-generation 60s GM cars, Bill Mitchell loved blue. In fact, the Corvette in 1 year had 3 color combinations alone. This is a 327, so this is the same motor that was shared, of course, with the Corvette and the other Chevrolets in the lineup, but in a smaller package. What happened, of course, was now the Mustang was almost 3 years in. Chevrolet introduced this car in 67 along with Pontiac. The Firebird shared on the same chassis, and they sold like crazy. So suddenly the Mustang had a serious competitor. I love the color combination of the car. I love rally wheels with red line tires and blue and white. Nobody did a white interior better than GM did. It's a great car. I love the colors. Congratulations on your award. Beautiful car. One of my other favorite cars on the field, just because I love the story as much as I love the car. This is second in class in muscle cars, another pony car. This is a 1968 American Motors AMC AMX owned by Mark Melvin of West Covina, California. And this is painted Playboy Playmate pink. Why, you ask? Because the Playboy Playmate of the Year was given this car as her award for being the Playmate of the Year. I'm embarrassed to say I remember this. Okay? Because I thought it was just the coolest thing. First of all, AMXs were a pretty interesting car in their own ilk. Here you had American Motors, who did not, like Packard many years earlier, didn't have a lot of money. Dick Teague was the head stylist at AMC at the time. He took the Javelin, which was a very handsome automobile, by the way, took the Javelin and cut, I don't know how many inches out of the chassis, took the back seat out of the car, made this a 2-seat automobile, and this was actually kind of a budget competitor to the Corvette. This particular car, again, was gift to the gal who was Playmate of the Year in 1968. And there's a plaque on the dash of the car. The serial number is something like 362435 or something crazy like that, which I love sexist comments. I don't care what anybody says. I think it's great, and I love your car. It is spectacular, and thank you for saving such a cool piece of history. Very, very cool car. Love it. Best in class. It's all pony cars. This is really cool. It goes to,
although he never mentioned you, congratulations.
AMC Javelin Trans Am.
That's Victoria right there. Playmate of the Year. That was her car.
Topeka, Indiana.
And Mark owns it now.
There were 100 of these built to replicate AMC's involvement in the Trans Am series. Roger Penske who was racing Camaros with Mark Donahue as his driver, shocked the world, and I mean shocked the world, and switched from Chevrolet to racing AMC products in 1970. And I remember it as a kid, we thought the world was coming to an end that actually happened. These were built in the triple tone American colors, which were AMC's corporate colors as well. They took the Javelin, and to commemorate the Trans Am racing, they built 100 of these in this particular combination. Under the hood is a 390 cubic inch V8 with a Go package. This was the most productive horsepower that AMC had at the time. The side pipes, special modifications and things that were done to the car from performance. Don't let anybody fool you. These cars could haul ass, am I correct? Exactly. We think of AMC as being the also-ran. That is not the case. These were very, very fast cars and very serious automobiles. I love your car, by the way. Thank you so much for bringing it. Great, great car. And a great piece of history.
They'll send you to the next spot.
Class 14, Rat Pack and limited production. There's probably kids in the audience that have no idea who the Rat Pack is. We'll talk about that in a moment. But this is the third place winner, a 1958 Ford Thunderbird owned by Anthony Maggio II of Rancho Palos Verdes, California. This is a square bird. That's what they're referred to as, because this car, the lines of the car are square. George Walker was the designer, but McNamara, who was the president of the Ford Motor Company at the time, he is the guy that was responsible for the 4-seat Thunderbird. The 55 through 57 Thunderbirds are 2-seaters. He thought the Thunderbird should have 4 seats. He lobbied for it. He was successful in doing so, and he turned out to be correct because sales quadrupled when they went to a 4-seat car from a 2-seat automobile. This was not a sports car. Many people think the Thunderbird was the answer, Ford's answer to the Corvette. That is not true. It was a personal luxury car, which later evolved into the Riviera, the Monte Carlo, the Grand Prix, yada, 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 goes on and on. But really, Ford Thunderbird was the car that was initially the one that came up with that design. And again, the square design of these cars are known as square birds. These are big V8 engines, automatic transmissions, all the power windows, steering brakes, etc. Things that were available at that particular period of time. And if you look very carefully at the car, this was also an era we were fascinated by jet engines. So the taillights of this car were to look like afterburners on a jet engine. You have that big side sweep going back on the car, again to look at the aircraft design on automobiles. Great color combination too, by the way. Very cool car. Congratulations on your third in class award. Second in class goes to Michael Coit, of Dallas, Texas. This is the 1959 Pontiac El Catalina prototype. Everybody knows, I think everybody does, what a Ranchero or an El Camino is. Ford first came out with the Ranchero. Chevrolet answered in 1959 with the El Camino, which was a car-based chassis, which they put a truck bed on the rear. Today we would have other kinds of names for them, not a car-based pickup, but sort of a crossover, much like we would have today. This began life as a Catalina station wagon. They chopped the rear end of the car at General Motors, put a safari wagon tailgate on it, put the bed of the El Camino in it. Pontiac and Chevrolet shared a lot of chassis features at this particular period of time. In '59, Pontiac was advertising the wide track. They continued to advertise that through the 1970s. The car was actually a bit wider than the other GM stablemates in terms of the width of the span between the wheels on an automobile. This is a one-off car. It was a prototype car. It never ever went into production, but again, one was built. It has been restored to just an incredibly high level, and you're getting to see it here today at the Las Vegas Concours d'Elegance. Great, great car, and another special automobile. Congratulations on your second place. First in class, and I'm gonna bet you ain't never seen one of these before. This is a 1966 Bosley Interstate Mark II owned by Kim and Stephen Bruno of Boca Raton, Florida. This is John, who restored the car that's driving the car. I happen to know a bit about this car because I just did a story for my column in Hemmings. So if you read Hemmings Muscle Machines, I have a column coming up on this car. Under the hood of this car is a Pontiac 389 tri-power engine. Mr. Bosley was a horticulturist. He wanted to build an automobile. He thought he could build a better mousetrap. So he did just that. He did the Mark I. He drove the car for quite some time, and he ended up selling that car and taking a Corvette racing chassis that had been raced at Sebring in exchange for the car. He modified the chassis. He put a Pontiac 389 engine in rather than the Corvette 283 because it offered more power, and built this wild fiberglass body on the car. There's a lot of safety design in this particular car, seat belts and things that were not, seems very mundane to us today, but things such as that were used on the car. These unusual Halobrand wheels. This car has had an exhaustive, I think would be the best description, a restoration to its current state. It is a fiberglass body. It has this wonderful candy apple red paint, which is exactly how the car was done when it was new, although perhaps a two-stage paint today rather than what was done at the time. But a very, very unusual and unique history piece of car, one of one, the only one that was ever built, and they have kind of resurrected it, and you're getting to see it here today. John, thank you very much. Thank Kim and Stephen as well. We really appreciate it. Okay, class 15, important race cars. Third in class is, they cannot find the owner. It is Phil White from Portola Valley, California. He's the owner of a 51 Porsche 356 Roadster. Second in class goes to Jose Fernandez of Black Rock, Connecticut. This is a 1970 Chrysler Plymouth Hemi Cuda. Yes, it's a Hemi, as the saying goes. In the case of this particular car, this is an E-body Barracuda. Plymouth introduced the Barracuda in 1964 as a top-line variant of the Valiant. It very quickly developed into a performance car. In 1972, Chrysler introduced the E-body, which this is shared with the Dodge Challenger. Both cars had an available 426 cubic inch, 425 horsepower Hemi head engine under the hood, ergo the Hemi Cuda. This particular car went to France, spent its life there, and it is the most victorious Cuda on the planet in terms of its racing circuit and hill climb history, with over 60 wins. It has been restored to its original livery, as you see here, and you can just hear that Hemi motor. Man, God bless America when you hear that. Yeah, gotta love that stuff. Anyway, just a very, very cool car, the likes of which you won't get to see very often. And you see all the French wording and things on the car because of the car that was campaigned in France when it was new. Very, very important and significant race car. Thanks so much.
Yeah, boy.
Best in class, also Jose Fernandez. Congratulations from Black Rock, Connecticut. This is a 1953 Nash-Healey LeMans race car. Donald Healey, by chance meeting, met up with George Nash, who was president, or George Mason, I'm sorry, who was president of Nash Kelvinator. They ran into each other while getting on the QE2. They met. Coming back to the United States, they talked about collaborating and building a production automobile. What happened in the meantime, however, they constructed 3 cars that were to go to Le Mans. However, 3 weeks or 4 weeks prior to the race, one of the cars was crashed and totaled, and this prototype was built in 3 weeks and raced at Le Mans. This later led to the production Nash-Healey Roadster, which followed. This car was actually found in a chicken coop in very derelict condition and restored to this wonderful condition that you see here today and saved. We're so grateful to have it here, and congratulations on your best and second in class wins. Very much cool. Okay, we're going to take a 10-minute break, I understand, or no? Is that not correct? We're taking a 10-minute break between now and the next awards that will be presented. They will be the final awards. If you look behind you, and you folks to the side look straight ahead, you'll see all the cars lined up. Those are all the best in class category winners. Out of those best in class cars will come the best in show pre-war and best in show post-war. So 2 cars will receive the top awards today. So we're going to take a quick 10-minute break. We've got to regroup here on some things, and we'll be right back with you. Okay, all chief class judges are to be at the best in class winners doing your voting right now. All chief in class judges are to be at the best in class winners to do their voting right now. Is everybody having a great time?
Oh yeah, Dan will
Is everybody having a great time? Okay, thank you. It's a wonderful collection of cars, and if you ever get the opportunity to see his collection, I would highly recommend it. This particular car is a Marmon V16. There were 2 production automobiles built in the United States with V16 engines. One, of course, was a Cadillac. The other, of course, was a Marmon. Very, very different cars in concept. Howard Marmon was an engineer first and foremost. He was from Indianapolis, Indiana, the same place where Stutzes were built, for example. Marmons were race-tested cars, much like Stutzes were. In the case of this particular car, he designed a V16 engine, but also most of the componentry on the automobile was aluminum for lightweight, which of course helped the speed of the car. As flamboyant as the Cadillac V16 was in terms of its design and the bodywork of the car, LeBaron was contracted by Marmon to build a series of bodies for the cars. You'll take a look at this, especially in the grille, much less ostentatious than the Cadillac, a bit of an Art Deco hint in terms of the design of the radiator shell, the door handles, things such as that. These are very fast cars for the era and very, very smooth automobiles. Great design statements as well. Jed, thank you very much, and congratulations to Mr. Bulgari on the Rolling Sculpture Award. Our second award is the Chief Judges Award, presented by our Chief Judge, Mr. John Carlson. This is a 1963 Chevrolet Special Corvette. This was Bunky Knutson's car. This is owned by Michael Coit of Dallas, Texas. You heard me talk about this car earlier, so we'll keep this rather brief. But this is a 375 horsepower Rochester Ramjet fuel injection engine. The standard horsepower at the time was 340. This is 375. You see the special side pipes. There's special instrumentation on the dash. It was pulled off the production line and done as a styling and an engineering statement with things that were going to appear on later generation or later model Corvettes of this second generation. Very cool car. Congratulations on your award. Our third award is the most elegant pre-war car, presented by Ed Gilbertson, another one of our honorary judges. This goes to the 1928 Isotta Fraschini Tipo 8A SS, owned by Peter Boyle of Oil City, Pennsylvania. I neglected to say this when the car came up earlier. You heard me say it's an 8A SS. That designates the type, or tipo, T-I-P-O in Italian, is an SS, which stands for Super Spinto, which means this is 160 horsepower as compared to the standard engine on an Isotta, a straight 8 at the time, which was 120 horsepower. So this was a seriously fast car. You also heard me say that this particular car was owned by Harry Williams and Margaret Clark. He an aviation pioneer, she a silent film star. Mr. Clark was said to have been caught. The car was, he was caught speeding in the car in Louisiana. The sheriff who stopped him fined him $10 for speeding, and he said, here's 20 you don't stop me when I'm on my way home coming back through. Whether that's a true story or BS, I don't know, but it's a great story. Nonetheless, congratulations, Peter, on your award. Just shift them off to the side so we can keep moving, Paul. Thank you. Our next award goes to, for innovative design, goes to the 1954 Mercedes-Benz 300 SL Gullwing Coupe, owned by R. Lee Brown of Calabasas, California. Got it. Okay, I'm ahead of one here. I'm sorry. The next award is the most elegant post-war car, presented by another of our honorary judges, Dr. Paul Sable, which is a 1957 dual motors Dual-Ghia, owned by David and Doreen Salzman of Jupiter, Florida. The Dual-Ghia was part of Dual Motors. What happened initially here was the gentleman who was the Eugene Casserole was his name, just like the thing you make in the oven. The Casserole, Eugene Casserole, owned the shipping company that shipped Chrysler their cars. He saw the Dodge Fire Arrow 2 concept car and fell in love with it. So what he ended up doing was getting the chairman of Dodge, the Dodge division at that time, to agree to have Chrysler sell him the rights to produce the car. The car was sent a Dodge chassis with a Dodge Red Ram engine under the hood. They were sent to tour in Italy, and they were bodied by Ghia Motors. Therefore, his company was called Dual Motors, the Dual-Ghia. This is the second generation Dual-Ghia. There were 26 of these made of this particular body. Richard Nixon owned one, Lucille Ball owned one, Gary Morton owned one. These were Rat Pack cars, predominantly is what they were known as, and they were very desirable automobiles. There was a Hollywood columnist who said, if you can't afford a Dual-Ghia, you should buy a Rolls Royce. So this had quite the cachet at the time, and these are very, very interesting automobiles. It's no wonder Paul picked it, because I think Paul has owned a total of there was 117 first-generation Dual-Ghias and 26 of these. I think Paul's owned 25 of them. So I'm sure that's why he picked this car. Very, very cool car, one you don't often get to see. Okay. Our next car, let me get my act together here. Innovative Design Award goes to the 1954 Mercedes-Benz 300 SL Gullwing Coupe, owned by R. Lee Brown of Calabasas, California. This is certainly a car that we all recognize, but this is an important automobile from so many perspectives. SL stood for Sport Light. If you took the body panels off this car, it would look like a tubular frame on which they hung the body panels of the car. It was done for lightweight. That's why you see the big wide door sill on the car, because of the tube frame that's under the car. This was a production version of a racing car. They were built in very limited numbers. There's a 3-liter inline 6-cylinder engine with fuel injection under the hood. The motor is canted to the side. It's laying on its side somewhat so that it would enable the low hood line of the car. The gull-wing doors, of course, were taken from the race car. They were not particularly friendly in terms of their usage, plus you cooked like the dickens inside the car because they were not really great from a ventilation standpoint. Max Hoffman, who was the importer at the time of Mercedes-Benz, he convinced Mercedes-Benz to build this car in a roadster version. These are the darlings of road tours and high-speed vintage tours. Everybody loves to drive these cars. It is a blue chip collectible in every manner of speaking. They're wonderful, wonderful driving automobiles. Despite the fact that this is a 1956 car, it drives like it's a 2000 car. Very advanced and very, very beautiful cars. Congratulations on your award. And if you notice, it has the fitted luggage in the back too. This is presented by the Art Center College of Design by Stuart Reed from the Art Center College. Thank you. I didn't have that on my notes here. I appreciate you telling me that. Okay, Dr. Mark Moskowitz, you're being paged to the tent. Dr. Mark Moskowitz, you're being paged to behind the tent. I think you're going to be reprimanded, so make sure you get here. Just kidding, Mark. Okay, our next award winner is The Pursuit of Passion, being presented by our friend Keith Martin from Sports Car Market Magazine. Gotta like that plug, right, Keith? Keith's my boss. I write for him, so I have to be careful. This is a 1964 Triumph Spitfire 4, owned by Barry and Jean-Claude Canal. Connell, I'm sorry, I hope I'm saying that correctly, from Oceanside, California. Now, Keith is a lover specifically of Alfa Romeos. But Keith, I'm going to ask you, and I'm putting you on the spot, what was it that spoke to you about this particular car?
This car was bought by this gentleman's father, brand new, and it's been in his family ever since. So how old, do you know how old he was when his dad bought this car? How old were you when your dad bought the car? 30? No, 30.
How old were you? Yeah.
So he was 6 years old when his father bought this car. So you don't really remember a time when this car hasn't been in your life. So that's the pursuit of passion.
It makes total sense, and it's a great, great car and a stunning restoration. I commented earlier how beautifully done the car is that you don't typically see this generation of a Spitfire done to such a high degree. Great car. Keith, thank you very much, and we're just thrilled to have you back here with us again. It's great to have you. Whoa. Okay. The Dragon Ridge Award, our Country Club Award, goes to Rich McDonald. Presented by Rich McDonald. I'll learn how to do this by the end of the day. Goes to the 1928 Mercedes-Benz SSK, brought to us here by Redline Restorations of Black Rock, Connecticut. Tell me this car does not knock you out. I mean, it is just magnificent. First of all, let's talk about the body on the car. Well, let's talk about what it is. It's an SSK, so this is a compressor, again, equipped, or supercharger equipped Mercedes-Benz. The owner was telling me as he was bringing it in here what it was like to get it here. He said he probably used 2 gallons of gas just sitting in line idling with this car. He said it is an absolute pig on gas, was the words that he used. But the body work on this car, it's a one-off car. It was built for a German count who raced cars. It was done by Erdmann and Rossi as the coach builder on this car. If you look just down at the A-pillar of the car, just behind the pipes on the engine, you'll see the coach builder a badge on the car. A very, very significant and stunning one-off automobile of a beautiful Mercedes-Benz body. They built roughly 25 or 26 of these particular cars, and we're thrilled to have this car here with us today. Incredible, incredible car. Thanks so much. He's got to go get some gas, so I'll go let him get out of here. Another double award winner. It's our good buddy Bob Jepson from Savannah, Georgia. He is the winner of the Chairman's Award from our chairman, Stuart Sobek. Yeah, there he is. Okay. And this is the 1938 Mercedes-Benz 540K Cabriolet by Normalm. You heard me say earlier it's the only 540K that's bodied by Normalm. Normalm only did a handful of cars, I believe 3 to be exact. This was formerly in the collection of Jack Rich. Many of you know Jack. Jack is no longer with us, unfortunately, but Jack was the founder of the Elegance at Hershey, which I was intimately involved for the last 9 years. And this was part of his collection. Bob bought the car, redid the car recently, and it's just debuted to rave reviews from everybody. Just a stunning, stunning automobile. Congratulations, Bob. Kevin, thank you as well. Appreciate it, guys. Okay, our final award winners. These will be our best in show cars. What's going to happen, there will be 4 cars that come up here, 2 cars that are pre-war, meaning 2 cars that are prior to World War II, 2 cars that are post-war, following World War II. That's usually generally defined as a dividing line in automobile design. Typically, I should say, is the case. And we're going to be bringing 4 cars up, 2 in each category. And from that, you will hear us announce our best in show and a best in show pre-war, best in show post-war, as chosen by our chief judges in each of the class categories. Thank you very much. We'll be right back with you. Okay, folks, the cars are arriving. The contenders for outstanding pre-war automobiles. The 1931 Stutz DB32 Victoria by LeBaron, owned by Joe and Margie Cassini. the 1931 Bugatti Type 51 Dubois, owned by the Nethercutt Collection. Our outstanding post-war contenders. And our best of show post-war, the 1953 Nash-Healey LeMans racer, owned by Jose Fernandez, and the 1953 Ferrari 250 Europa Vignale from the Kogan collection. We have one more card to join us.
Are you getting in there?
Gentlemen, the winners of the inaugural Las Vegas Concours d'Elegance, best of show pre-war, the 1931 Bugatti Type 51 from the Nethercutt Collection, and the 1953 Ferrari 250 Europa with coachwork by Vignale from the Kogan Collection. Ladies and gentlemen, congratulations to the best of show winners here at the inaugural Las Vegas Concours d'Elegance. Presenting the awards will be the chairman of the Concours, Stuart Sobek, and his lovely fiancée, Rosie. And the soon-to-be Mr. and Mrs. Cook. Congratulations to all of our award winners. Stuart, I think as soon as he's done presenting this award, will like to say a few words. This will give me an opportunity to thank all of you for coming out today. Hopefully you had a great time. We had a few little bumps and hiccups along the way, but really for a first time ever event, it was just spectacular. Thanks to all our hosts here at the Country Club. Just a magnificent setting. All of our sponsors, both of these people are receiving a special gift from Chopard, and if you don't want it, I'm available. I just thought I'd point that out. If anybody would like to give me the gift from Chopard. Seriously, congratulations to both of our award winners. And Stuart, as soon as he's done roaming here, will have a few closing remarks. And again, our runners-up, we want to say congratulations to them and thank them because we had truly some magnificent automobiles here on our show field today. We ask that all of you please also be careful when you leave here, drive carefully. And that being said, Stuart will soon be here to make a few closing remarks. Stuart?
Congratulations to Best of Show winners, these two beautiful cars, the first two winners of the Helene Award, the first two winners of the inaugural Las Vegas Concours. We look forward to seeing you all next year with more fabulous cars, more friends, and beautiful weather. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
Back next year. Okay. Not next month. Stuart said we'll be back next month to do this again. Once again, thank you to everybody. Congratulations to all of our winners. God bless everyone. God bless America.